let's go. Hey folks, welcome to SaltyGillz. This is an experiment, for sure. So, kind of our foray into the YouTube world, just doing what we do, fishing. I'll put it out there. I don't know if we really know what we're doing on the camera. Kaylee does. She's got some experience here, but hopefully you're joining in to watch this, to get some lessons and be our virtual crew with fishing offshore, inshore. We're going to try to show you everything that we do, everything we screw up, make it real. Just real life. Real life, yeah, for sure. But probably, I guess, maybe we should introduce ourselves. I'm Ryan. Cole.
I'm Kaylee.
Yeah, so we're here in Corpus. It's where we kind of base out of. I think our plan is to maybe do some more stuff throughout the state. Maybe as this develops and gets bigger and grows. I don't know. We don't know what to expect. We're just kind of throwing this together and have a good time and have fun with it. I think one of the things we're trying to do is bring the female perspective to fishing, right?
Yeah.
So male-dominated world and stuff like that. So we're going to bring some of that into the show so everybody can try to enjoy it. But
I think our biggest thing is that your day-to-day normal life that you live, call somebody up on a Wednesday. Hey, look, weather looks like it might be good Saturday.
Yeah.
You're guessing until Thursday night. Friday morning, you make the call.
Case in point, this weekend, we thought we were going fishing today. Normally we'd be out there offshore by now.
It's only fives.
Yeah, only fives. But yeah, we're looking at weather all week. Hey, are we going? We're not going, and then we have to make a call ultimately close to push off time. And today was, hey, we're just not can't go. But
keep the boat fueled and hope for the best.
Yeah. I guess maybe give the folks maybe a little background of who we are. So kind of got our names, but like Cole said, we work every day. We're up the week,
Sure.
So we're not that fishing show that can go out on Tuesday when the ocean's flat, or we can't go out and film for 8 days to show you high quality fishing. Yeah, we catch fish all the time. You're not going to get that here. So background for folks, I was in the military, did Navy time for 23 years, lived all over, fished all over. So East Coast fishing, offshore fishing out of Destin, and so that's kind of what Cole's talking about. Is when I came here, I brought a lot of that with me, but that's not Texas fishing. And
for sure,
I think we've talked through it enough. In my time, I know to ask people for help, right? I'm not too proud to go, hey, kind of not knowing what I'm doing here. We've talked about this. Some of my stuff worked, but some of my stuff didn't. So it was, how we met was kind of funny. I don't know if you want to touch on that. If you're going out.
Yeah. So to finish what you were saying, you just can never stop learning.
Yeah, for sure.
I'm definitely way younger than you are, and all the things that we do is that you can never stop learning in any field that you're in. But yeah, we definitely met. I think you were actually setting your boat up, just getting the outriggers right. I think I rolled up and said, "Hey, where you fishing tomorrow or what?" Yeah. And, I'm gonna go out.
Yeah, you were like,
60,
where
70
you going?
miles.
Yeah.
And I said, "Cool, I'll see you out there." And you go, "Hey, where's your offshore boat at?" And I was like, "Oh, I got that 25-foot Haney sitting right there, but we're rigged up for it."
Yeah.
Your background with Florida was I was a crazy dude with a pontoon boat.
Yeah. I had flashbacks to Destin and having to call the Coast Guard for seeing a pontoon boat 23 miles offshore and 2 to 3s, and like, wow, this guy's gonna get in trouble. But it was just it took me back, but obviously you talk about too, even though you're a young guy, you have a whole lot of experience on the water. So
being prepared.
So that aspect of taking a smaller boat, a hybrid boat that far out, it's easy for you because you've done it. But I say easy, but you're prepared. All your time and knowledge. And same thing with me. We're sitting on my boat right now. We got a 32 Cape, right? I still think about that, but I'm trained that way a little bit. We talked about.
You were kind of trained a certain way to think a certain way. My background is simply that I grew up on a river.
Yeah.
I got blessed enough to grow up on the Guadalupe River in the hill country and had a lot of freedom. But with freedom came the responsibility that I'm responsible to get myself home. Checking in with your parents, the occasional person that floats by when you're 12, 13 years old, running around in a kayak by yourself, few miles up or down that river, you get yourself into a spot, you're in that spot by yourself.
For sure.
And how do you prevent that? So there's a lot of preparation that goes into what we do. By no means the biggest boat, even that we're sitting on right now in the Port Aransas fleet. And
For sure.
there's a lot of things that go into that consideration. Like I said, it's 5s today, possibly 6s. There's boats that could go out today.
Right.
A 60, 70-foot boat could go out today. We have to make the conscious decision about whether or not it's best for your boat, our crew, our knees, shoulders, anything else that we do. And then if you do actually go find the fish and you are successful in your endeavor, are you going to be able to fight, land, and treat that fish successfully with the seas that you have?
That brings in a whole other aspect of fighting a fish when you're dealing with seas like that. I mean, probably people that are going to watch the show, maybe watching like Wicked Tuna and some of those. You see that on there, big fish, and drag and things. So those are all considerations that are out there. So
the reality is when you were in Florida, you got a boat from your past experiences in Florida, the East Coast, where your overnight trip was 50 miles. The reality here in Texas is if you're running 50 miles, you're just barely breaking deep water, 400, 450 feet of water, depending on where you're going out in Texas. Now, everywhere is different, but the area that we fish, you're looking at a 37, 45-mile run for any good bottom fishing, unpressured grounds, anything like that. And then to possibly, now there's the rare occasion something comes in, right? But for the most part, we are running 40, 50, 60 miles in the pursuit of something that's a one-day trip to us. Our overnight trips here are 120, 150 miles. And there's some boats that can do that in a day still.
For sure.
We aren't in that position, so we definitely have to be a little bit smarter about where are we pursuing. We don't have that ability. The fish aren't at 80 miles. We're going to flip up, go 100 miles the other way. It's just not in our game book. Right? We have to make that right decision, and that all starts throughout the week, like we brought up earlier.
It's looking at how many sources do we use for waves? Like 4 different sources. Hey, what did they say? What did they say? And then looking at watercolor,
fish
all those
charts.
things. Yeah.
I mean, we use 3 or 4 different programs just to try to locate where the fish are to the best of our knowledge. And then you bring Kaylee in on this, where kind of stepped into a new game.
We definitely need to talk about that because this is sort of a new thing for you, right?
Yeah.
You didn't grow up doing too much of this, like you were talking about. I kind of grew up like you a little bit, running a little free. I was more on the hunting side of things,
Sure.
But I rode my bike like 5 miles to go fishing a pond where we're jumping the fence and doing things that we're not supposed to back in the day. But yeah, for you kind of came into this through Cole. So talk about that. Talk about the woman experience, in fishing too.
Yeah, I mean, when I was a kid, my dad would take me to the river and take me fishing. And when I came down, he was like, it's a different world, you're in a male, almost dominated hobby industry.
But it's getting better. You're starting to see a lot more women out there, fishing, doing things like that. So, which is cool to see because, I have 3 daughters.
Right.
That they all like to fish. They don't do so well with seasickness a lot of times, but it is what it is. So we have to pick our days for that.
I think Kaylee just got thrown into it.
Yeah,
It was. We fish, but so my background truly lies within just exploring different waters, whether it be the river, a lake, or the bay.
Well, I think that's important too. You talk right here is you have a super knowledge of the bay, trout fishing, things like that. I grew up fishing the bay, but I did wade fishing. It's called poor man's fishing. Yeah. It's like we drive down, wade out, hopefully catch some reds, some trout. But I never fished it as much. And even offshore, I started late. I didn't really get into offshore. It was always something that I wanted to do, but like my dad, we didn't have the means to do it. He wasn't a real offshore guy. We hunted more, like I said. Yeah. And so, I was inspired by back in the day, Old Man in the Sea, reading a book. Go, man, I don't want to do that. I want to chase big fish. And I really didn't start fishing offshore until I was in the military and I could kind of afford it. Yeah. And so
I think it's self-development too. And you see it in Kaylee, you see it in people that come in, is that sharing that knowledge about how you think about things. Let's be honest, I can only fish where I have the tools to fish. So growing up on the river, you can go catch perch, great fish. Yeah, but how do you jump to fly fishing gar out of a kayak or sight fishing gar? that was the next thing. How do you get more out of what you have availability to?
Yeah.
It's kind of like bait fishing. If I came down to the Texas coast my whole life, I got lucky enough we jump on some guided boats or go fish here or there, or have a buddy, my dad's buddy has a boat or whatever. We'd go fish, and you'd fish for what that boat allowed you to fish for sure. So when you get to a point where it's like, hey, we have this bait boat, we can just go catch trout with live shrimp every single time. And you can go do that. Or you can go fish for red drum with cut bait or anything like that. But what's next, right? What's the next approach? How do you fine tune this fishery? That turned into wade fishing for trout. That was big trout, redfish. I really like to stay away from those. My true passion is trout. But the trout pursuit kind of leads you into the offshore game, that sickness for those little speckled creatures that swim around. Changing your lures. It might be the same lure, but some people think fish don't see color, this or that. But little alterations, they seem to make a difference, or the way that you work that lure, the way that you just approach a spot. I came in from this side last time, but maybe I fish from the other side, the other way, if the wind and the conditions allow it to happen. And I tried to throw Kaylee as deeply into that world as possible and let her understand, why do we approach things the way we do? What makes lure selection, color, and appearance work? When we're fishing offshore, is it a chugger, a bullet, a slant? Are we running a bird? You've really opened my eyes to a couple of things that I think I overlooked.
I mean, that's something I brought in from my experience.
Yeah.
You kind of laughed at me a little bit, and my dude were running the bird, right?
Yeah.
And then
Like,
I think
get
the
that
first,
bird.
the first hookup we have with you aboard, the freaking bird's going off.
Yeah, and then it was a different reason I don't like the bird, because we set it out 200 yards. And, somebody has
we'll get to that.
It.
We'll show some video of that.
Yeah.
Bird. But what's your perspective on like just now jumping in and to offshore fishing? Like, what's the learning curve like?
I mean, my motto is, if you act confident in something,
fake it till you make it.
Fake it till you make it, you'll eventually learn. But I mean, definitely, like, I've never used outriggers before. We fish on the Haney, and you just put the rods off the back and just
run a tight spread.
Well, but I think one thing too that I noticed is you ask a lot of questions, right? You're not afraid to ask questions.
I'm very
and I think that's important for you guys out there. If you jump on somebody's boat, hopefully they're cool enough to, like, not be honest. Don't be shut up, just do this. Like, ask, hey, why are you doing that? We have these conversations, and you're going to see those. Like, hey, what do you think, man? What have you done? Well, I've done it this way. Well, I've done it this way. Well, let's try this, or let's try that. We're always scheming on something to try to figure that out.
And I think where that comes in too, though, is like, Kaylee can ask those questions, but it's almost a different perspective of, look, I jumped on your boat after successful endeavors. So going back to like how we met, it was a couple burnt tricks for you. Yeah. And I'm coming back in with mahi and all this other stuff. Hey, we jumped a sail, missed a sail, this or that.
Right.
On my hybrid, we're fishing the same area. How am I doing that and you're not? Well, you're probably just a little off.
And I think it's important too for everybody to understand we're kind of the same mindset, for sure. So like, we're competitive dudes, type A. We want to do everything right.
Catch 40 mahi and wonder how to catch 50.
Yeah, how do we do more, right?
Yeah.
But so I'm coming in and I'm going, man, I'm in the same area. What am I doing wrong? And I'm not too prideful to go, hey man, what's up?
And you thought I was being a smart ass though. I'm like, it's this color. And you're like, no. And I'm like, no, it's just like this color.
So I what's the optimum setup? But maybe we need to do it this way. Maybe we do it that way.
I think showing confidence and asking things.
Yeah.
Not that Kaylee needs that from me, but it definitely opens the door for Kaylee to also ask questions.
For sure. Yeah.
And then the relationship that we all have, where we can sit down. These are real life conversations that we have pretty much every day, every other day.
On the phone for 2 hours.
Yeah.
In a week,
2-3 hours. I'm supposed to be going to bed.
Yeah.
Going to work. And
it's an obsession for us, I guess you could say. Kind of like, this is what we do.
Yeah.
And we enjoy doing it. I know you work hard, I work hard to make it happen. And it's, we're not that, I don't know how to characterize it, but we're not that fully sponsored TV show
No.
that's out there doing it full time. It's like
It's kind of self-made.
yeah,
At
it
this
is.
point.
It is.
And I think also dynamic on the boat is solid all the time. And
Yeah.
I really look forward to trying to include people in because at the same
For
time,
sure.
we fish a 3-person team.
Yeah. Well,
Now-
we're bringing a fourth too,
but-
like Chris,
Exactly.
which you guys will probably meet.
And
He's
that
still learning.
interaction that
Yeah.
Chris can show or that somebody else can show, like, hey, there might be a weekend where I commit to somebody. You're like, bro, I'm coming down. Let's go fishing. We might end up with somebody different on the boat.
For sure.
And that interaction that we not allow to happen, that naturally happens within this boat and this team, is that there's no knowledge that we don't want to share.
Right.
Don't mind sharing it with anybody because there's only a select few that are really going to pick up on utilizing it. And with that being said, if you're willing to take in information, not that we're always right, but it's the same approach I took to learn a lot of this stuff. Is if you sit with people, they'll talk about things that some people might not pick up, that you hear something, you're like,
And you remind me what I talk about was that point was about being successful as quickly as you can. So when I, got out of the military, moved to San Antonio where I live. So that's a whole nother discussion when
The
you have commute
Yeah.
back and forth to go fishing.
well, I
right?
did it for
Yeah, you do it
however
too
long.
because your job is mobile.
For
You're
sure.
fortunate enough right now where you're kind of homesteaded here in Corpus, but you never know. And
Go to Houston again.
Yeah. You're so. But back to, and it's kind of why we're here, right? So we talked about this. Like when I first got here, I'm like, hey, let me pull up some YouTube videos and see what people do out of Corpus, out of the Texas area, because I knew like the fishing's going to be different. Yeah, I'm fishing the same Gulf of Mexico, but the patterns and the bait and everything else that I was used to in Destin, I knew was going to be different here, right? And so I go onto YouTube and I'm like, hey, Corpus Christi offshore fishing, Port A offshore fishing.
There's nothing there.
Nothing,
Yeah.
right? And a lot of the stuff that was there was just snapper around the rig. So I'm like, I feel like I can do that. I mean,
Well, you'd be surprised. Sometimes we can swing and miss on that.
yeah, that's true. But that was the whole thing. It was like, man, I want to learn. And so then we started talking about it. He's like, you're like, yeah, that's not really out there. And you're looking at a lot of stuff online too. Because we all, it's part of our process, watching videos. Like, what are other people doing? Maybe will that technique work here,
Yeah, and I'm not sure how openly we want to say it, but I mean, a pretty steady stream of YouTube videos that we try to take in. I've been lucky enough to fish in multiple places, kind of, not around the world, but
Well, you're pretty versed. I mean, you fished Hawaii. Like I fished Hawaii, too. Costa Rica,
southern
right?
Costa Rica.
Yeah.
And
I've only fished here.
Yeah.
And
That's
Louisiana
okay.
once.
Yeah. And then, Louisiana, and it's taken a lot of those approaches. Like in Hawaii, there's some gentlemen that I fished with, and the whole idea of how do you rig up a lure, it differs from a lot of people.
Yeah.
From what you think about
For sure.
to what I think about. We still have differences in our lures, the way we rig them, the hooks that we use.
Yeah.
And I think the really good thing about us is there's as much
like hooks. You've already committed to me on the hook, and we'll talk about that more later too.
For
But
sure.
I thought my hooks were good, and you're like, hey, try these out, bro. And they're like, oh wow,
a little pricey,
Yeah,
but they're
yeah.
worth the money if you're
you're hooking the fish more. Yeah, for sure.
I think our biggest thing is how do you balance time, success,
absolutely.
and money. And at the end of the day, we don't have millions of dollars to throw into this. Don't have the giant sport fishing boat, the 20 rods and reels. We run a little bit beyond a basic spread with very good gear, quality gear. But at the same time, we match in and out and try to figure out everything that works.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, we're not opposed to flipping something new out there. And like, hey, let's try it out, and you're gonna get our honest opinion.
We're gonna show every single time is not the YouTube world. It is real life. It is
We might go out to get
failures.
skunked. Yeah.
It is. We leave at 3 a.m. to go fish for wahoo. I strip down to my boxers and have to push your boat off because we went a little too far to the left trying to get out of the marina. I think us being able to show all that and be open and honest with this is the reality of being a fairly experienced weekend fisherman that only fishes on the days that we're allowed. And with that being said, we have to be open and honest with people. If you want to get into the offshore game, especially here in Texas, it's a little bit of a struggle. We don't go casting at our bait every single day to where we can chump fish up.
Right.
We've done that program, in other states, it's not available to us here.
Yeah.
How do you work with what you have
Yeah,
and
for
be
sure.
honest with the people that want to be included in this? If you're really looking to step into that next offshore boat or a hybrid boat, or maybe I want to get away from bay fishing with popping corks, I think it's really important for people to know what you're stepping into and kind of what goes into it. It is not a Friday hobby.
Right.
It is all throughout the week. I got a little bit of time. Let's rig these lures.
Right.
The same effort that I put into my bay fishing also goes into the offshore game. That will come later down the road for sure.
Yeah.
Stepping into the bay and stuff.
Right.
My season's kind of winding down here. Really enjoy the bay when there's less traffic.
Yeah.
Bigger
And
trout.
I think that's something that we can bring. Like, I don't really do that anymore. I used to do that. I got away from it because I was out of Texas and gone in the military, so I didn't have a bay fishing in a long time. So I'm actually going to be kind of reintroduced if we go do that, and I'm going to be that newbie, like, hey man, like, I don't know what I'm doing anymore.
Yeah.
And I think, what from the female perspective, what do you looking to bring into the channel, like from your experience, stuff like that?
I guess just like kind of teaching, not necessarily, but like from a woman's perspective, like having an open line of communication on the boat, asking as many questions as you can.
Well, and it's probably common here, but there's some challenges of being a woman on a boat, right?
Kaylee can barely reach the outrigger.
Yeah.
Smaller stature, not that you're not super short, but strength. But there's some physical challenges, going to the bathroom,
Going to the bathroom.
all those kind of things, and so you're gonna see all that.
Yeah.
We're gonna touch on all that. So you go like, hey, I've thought about going offshore fishing as a woman, but how's this gonna work? Well, Kaylee's gonna show you how that works, and we're gonna bring on different people that have different backgrounds and all that kind of stuff. But that's our goal for this is, hey, this is real, right? This is open, honest. Hopefully you guys will keep coming back and you'll enjoy it and give us some feedback on what you like to see, or what we've done right or wrong. That's how we fish.
Yeah.
Right?
But I think we're real too. It's like a lot of people that shove cooking down your throat.
Right.
It's a 45-minute, hour-long making
we
meal.
didn't even talk about that. But
I
a little time to
think-
show some cooking stuff.
I think that there may be some cooking stuff down the road, but it's going to be real. I come off work, Kaylee's at home, 10-minute, 15, 20-minute meal. We're not cooking any 5-star shit, but
Tastes 5-star.
it tastes good. It's protein, and you're enjoying what you caught, which is half. But I think the biggest thing coming from me, Kaylee, and Ryan is that we want y'all to tag along. We want y'all to enjoy the process, see the struggles, hopefully not do them to yourselves, or just have fun and feel like you're being included in everything.
Right. Yeah, no, I think that was a perfect summary. That's what we're about, folks. That's what you're going to see. So hopefully you'll keep coming back, getting the story, live this life with us and enjoy it with us. And then, hopefully we'll see you out in the water and you're catching your own fish, right? That's where we want to go. So hope to see you next time. Thanks for showing up this time.
Thank you.